This video is supported by our sponsor, The Great Courses Plus. Word spreads across the Balkans and beyond about the effectiveness of Vlad Cepeš's raid into Ottoman territory. Using his knowledge of the empire's military organization, something he learned during his time in the Ottoman court, Vlad selectively targets vital Ottoman military infrastructure in northern Bulgaria, crippling their capability to quickly respond to Vlahian attacks. He destroys crossing points into Vlahia, sacks those fortified cities that serve as bases, pillages and burns key towns that have military duties and store agricultural supplies, as well as other provisions for the Ottoman army. Economic damage and chaos spread far and wide as countless thousands of civilians perish at the hands of Vlad's horsemen. But now, more Turks are coming. Mehmed II recently concluded a highly successful campaign against an anti-Ottoman alliance in Anatolia, extending his rule on the peninsula and achieving the ultimate goal of his campaign by conquering Trebizond, the last of the Byzantine Greek cities. Back at his palace, while tending to the administration of the empire, news reaches Mehmed about the carnage caused by Vlad Cepeš in Bulgaria. Large groups of the Turkish population are fleeing south, bringing with them tales that the Impaler Prince is on his way to Constantinople. Mehmed decides to take matters into his own hands, not least because the spreading of such rumours could turn Vlad into an undisputed hero of the entire region and destabilise Ottoman rule in the Balkans. The Sultan becomes even more concerned after reports reach Constantinople that King Matthias Corvinus sent the experienced Seklid mounted troops in support of Vlad's war effort. If these reports are true, this would mean that an alliance between Matthias and Vlad may have been formed against the Ottomans. Mehmed further suspects that an even broader Christian alliance might be planning a crusade against the Ottoman Empire, as Hungary increases their military presence in Belgrade, and the Pope sends vast sums of money to King Matthias. In return, the king offers Hungary to be the host of the Western armies and promises to provide troops for the Christian cause. The Hungarian king would eventually break these promises. Despite not knowing Matthias's real intentions, Mehmed nevertheless diligently acts on the reports he received and begins preparations for a major conflict. Some contemporary sources place the number of Ottoman troops in the hundreds of thousands, which are highly exaggerated and unrealistic figures. For the purpose of this video, we will use the accounts of the 15th century Venetian envoy to Buda, Pietro di Tomasi, who writes that Mehmed mobilized a 60,000 strong army, though modern research tells us that the number of troops was far lower. Mehmed assembles such a large army expecting that in Vlahia he will be fighting against the joined armies of Matthias and Vlad, which also requires the Sultan to lead his troops in person. But there are further factors which require Mehmed's presence in Vlahia. Vlad proved to be a formidable foe, employing effective military tactics, logistical know-how, as well as diplomatic trickery to devastate northern Bulgaria and eliminate a number of Ottoman army contingents and garrisons. Mehmed has to take revenge against Vlad and reaffirm his image as protector of Ottoman lands. Furthermore, a demonstration of Ottoman power near the Hungarian border might discourage his biggest rival in the region from joining the planned crusade, and the destruction of Vlad's army would eliminate the only Christian country from the planned crusade that took action against the Ottoman Empire. Across the Danube, Vlad Cepeš calls upon all able-bodied men to join the fight. The core of his army is comprised of around 2,000 experienced troops, his personal guard, foreign mercenaries, and the Sekli horsemen. The boyars with their mercenaries and vassals are able to field around 8,000 troops. The remaining 10,000 are formed by soldiers under local leaders of smaller landholdings. In total, Vlad assembles around 20,000 troops, though here too, modern research tells us that the number of troops was far lower. Believing that King Matthias will keep his promise and will come to his aid, Vlad continues his aggression against the Ottomans by destroying their military and merchant shipping on the Danube, expecting help to arrive no later than April, before the ice on the Danube completely melts, which will allow the Ottoman fleet to sail up the river from the Black Sea. But April comes and goes, and Vlad realizes he must adapt his plans. The Ottoman army leaves Edirne in late April or early May. Mehmed plans to march west along the Via Militaris to Plovdiv, and then north to Nicopolis, using army storehouses along the way to stockpile provisions for the campaign, knowing that he might not be able to effectively supply his army once he reaches the devastated areas in northern Bulgaria. Once at Nicopolis, from there he plans to follow a commercial route that leads straight to Targoviste. Meanwhile, the Ottoman fleet of some 175 ships is transporting more troops from the Black Sea and plans to sail up the Danube to support the crossing at Nicopolis. Vlad knows that without Hungarian support, he cannot wage an open war against the vast military potential of the Ottoman war machine, and that the only way to confront Mehmed's numerically superior army coming from the south is guerrilla warfare, by focusing on operations that rely on speed, mobility, surprise, and professionalism of the troops. For this extremely difficult and demanding task, the Vlachian voivode can count only on a small portion of his army. From the remaining troops, Vlad forms a mobile expeditionary force and sends them to eastern Vlachia to hold off the Ottoman advance there and relieve the siege of Kilia, a highly valuable strategic city disputed between Moldavia, Vlachia, and Hungary, but also targeted by the Ottomans. Eventually, the Hungarian garrison in Kilia stands firm and the siege fails, with the invaders suffering great losses. Finally, the Ottoman fleet meets up with Mehmed on June 1st. Vlad and his cavalrymen ferociously contest the landing, but despite inflicting heavy losses on the invading troops, by June 3rd, the Ottoman vanguard manages to cross the river and Vlad retreats inland to avoid losses. The Ottomans complete the crossing by the end of June 4th, the next day. The Sultan then divides his forces. The core of the army under Mehmed's personal command marches towards Targoviste. On Mehmed's far right is the second part of his army, the Akinji cavalry who guard his flank. Due to the unusually hot summer, Mehmed decides to go through the thick Vlachia forest. Ottoman troops welcome the escape from the scorching heat, but in the shade of the Vlachia forest lay hidden contingents of Vlachian troops. Multiple ambushes and night attacks are launched against the long Ottoman line of march. Aware of how dangerous these night attacks are, Mehmed slows down the march in order to keep the troops more compact and starts stopping the march earlier in the day so that camp defences can be erected before dark. With his night attacks, Vlad successfully slows down the Ottoman advance, and he plays for time while waiting for his expeditionary force to return from eastern Vlachia. Meanwhile, on the Ottoman right flank, the Akinji run into deserted settlements. The population and livestock are evacuated north as Vlad aims to deprive the invaders of any means of supplies, leaving nothing behind. Back west, the main Ottoman army runs into logistical problems of their own, as Mehmed's chosen route towards Targoviste proves difficult, not least because of the thick forest and poor roads, but also because of vast marshy areas and insufficient vegetation for animal consumption, not to mention the increased risk of disease in the torrid summer heat. But finally, after about 2 weeks of marching, Mehmed halts his army south of Targoviste and orders the camp to be set up on the banks of the Yalamitsa River. At last, Ottoman troops can enjoy an endless supply of fresh water. To raise morale, the Sultan orders musicians to play invigorating tunes. All seems to be under control, and much needed sleep could not have come at a better time for Mehmed's troops, but the serenity will not last. Organisation of the Ottoman camp in many ways mimics their formation on the battlefield, a fact that Vlad is keenly aware of. Sipahi cavalry of the port is in the centre, Janissaries in the front centre, Anatolian Sipahi cavalry on the left, Rumelian Sipahi cavalry on the right, and the Azab irregulars on the flanks in front of the cavalry. The camp's defences consist of earthworks, palisades, and lookout posts, the centre being most fortified and additionally protected by artillery pieces due to Mehmed's presence there. Behind the tents are horses and pack animals. The vast camp covers around 460,000 square meters. Lurking with his cavalrymen, Vlad finally makes contact with his expeditionary force that returned from eastern Vlachia. Having issued orders for a synchronized attack from both flanks, Vlad orders his cavalrymen forward. He relays the plan to his captain, possibly a boyar named Galesh, ordering him to flank to the Ottoman rear from the east, while Vlad plans to flank the camp from the west, and then they would meet in the centre to focus their attack on the Ottoman headquarters and the Sultan himself. But the task of outflanking is a delicate one. Because of the tremendous dimensions of the camp, it would take the Vlachian cavalrymen around 4 hours to complete the manoeuvre. Vlad rounds the Ottoman left undetected. But the troops in the tents on the Ottoman far left are soon alerted because a small part of Vlad's left flank hooked the Anatolian Sipahi camp. It is now only a matter of time before the rest of the camp is alerted to the attack, and Vlad knows that his actions now must be executed faster. If he hurries, there is still a chance to retain the element of surprise, as it will take some time before news of the attack reaches the rest of the Anatolian Sipahis and the centre of the camp. The Vlachian voivode urges his men forward. About 1 hour later, the Vlachian cavalry breaks through the camp defences of the Ottoman centre. Vlad Tepes spearheads the attack towards the tents of the Ottoman generals and the gold-red tent of Mehmed II. The surprise attack creates panic, catching the Ottomans in the centre off guard and on foot. Vlachian cavalrymen hack their way through the Sipahis of the port and start cutting the ropes that anchor tent canvases, temporarily trapping many troops underneath, while in the darkness, some of the Ottoman troops attack each other in the confusion. Vlad and his men close in on the centre of the Ottoman camp and smash into the Janissaries that manage to regroup and form a line to protect the Sultan, thanks to their high professionalism. Momentum of the Vlachian cavalry charge drives a deep wedge into their formation, getting ever closer to the Sultan's tent. But the Janissaries stand fast and manage to contain the push of Vlad's charge. Amidst the fighting, the Vlachian voivode sees that to his far right, his expeditionary force that was supposed to attack from the east is nowhere to be seen. It is not clear why Vlad's captain did not arrive with the expeditionary force. Contemporary accounts give us conflicting evidence. It is possible that this Vlachian commander wasn't proficient enough to execute the difficult flanking maneuver and that he clashed with elements of the Ottoman right flank too early. Another possibility is that the two Vlachian contingents couldn't effectively coordinate the attack at night while being tens of kilometers away from each other. It is also possible that the Vlachian commander betrayed Vlad. Whatever the case may be, the fact is, Vlad attacked the Ottoman camp alone with his horsemen. And soon, the gruesome hand-to-hand combat begins to tilt in the favour of the more numerous Ottomans. Outnumbered and bleeding from a head wound, Vlad and his cavalrymen begin fighting their way out of the Ottoman camp. Vlad's only option is to retreat southeast because the news of the attack still hasn't reached the Rumelian Sipahis on the Ottoman right flank. Before sunrise, about 5,000 Vlachian and 15,000 Ottoman troops lay dead on the battlefield. As the Ottoman march continues, they are met with a horrific sight. A field of dead Ottoman soldiers in their thousands, impaled and rotting in the summer sun. Mehmed takes stock of the situation and decides to bypass Targoviste. He realises that Matthias will not be coming to Vlad's aid and that he won't be able to force an open battle against the Vlachian voivode, so to continue towards Targoviste would only expose his army to yet more ambushes and night attacks from the elusive Vlad Tepes. The Sultan is aware that the Vlachian voivode can keep outmaneuvering the less mobile Ottoman army and slowly bleed them dry using guerrilla tactics. The Sultan's assumptions prove true, as Vlad delivers yet another major night attack near Buzau, inflicting yet more losses to the invading army. Mehmed decides to march towards Brela, where his fleet awaits. The Sultan also correctly predicts that he can weaken Vlad's political position by leaving behind Radu to take the throne with the support of the Akinji cavalry. Radu indeed quickly wins the support of the greater boyars by giving them many privileges, and he soon takes control of the voivodal residence in Bucharest and Targoviste, as well as voivodal lands, subjects and trade routes in the south of the country. This secures fiscal stability for Radu, enabling him to establish his rule by August 1462. In the meantime, Vlad retreats into northern Vlachia. Without the support of the greater boyars, it is unclear what is the reach of his authority at this point. However, he still holds two important trade routes, the Red Turret Pass and the Bran Pass, both strong defensive positions. The voivode knows that the Akinji will finish their pillaging and retreat back to Bulgaria before winter, which will leave Radu exposed, and he intends to ask for support from King Matthias to depose Radu. In November, Vlad and Matthias meet at Brasov, but the Hungarian king refuses to aid Vlad, knowing that if he supported an attack against Radu, the Ottomans will perceive this as a declaration of war. Enraged, Vlad decides to attack Radu without Hungarian help. In late November of 1462, Vlad heads through the Bran Pass. At the Oratia fortress, he is ambushed by Jan Giskra, a Bohemian mercenary commander now in the service of Matthias. The king orders Vlad's arrest in order to prevent the outbreak of a new war. With Vlad imprisoned, his brother Radu's rule is secured, and Vlahia is now firmly in the Ottoman grip. Against all odds, Vlad the Impaler came close to changing the course of history, but he was ultimately unable to stop Mehmed II, the man who transformed the Ottoman Sultanate into the Ottoman Empire and became known as Mehmed the Conqueror. If you want to learn more, sign up for a free trial with the Great Courses Plus, a subscription on-demand video learning service with over 70 top-notch history courses taught by top academics. We highly recommend their course, The Ottoman Empire, taught by Professor Kenneth Hall. This fantastic 36-lecture course provides insight into the rise and fall of the Ottoman state and goes into detail about its many rulers, including Mehmed the Conqueror, covering his upbringing and ascension to the throne, as well as detailing his conquest of Constantinople and the territorial expansion which brought him into conflict with Vlad the Impaler. The Great Courses Plus offers much more than history, with over 10,000 video lectures about anything from science, maths, literature, photography, or even cookery and chess. New subjects, lectures and professors are added every month. Stream and enjoy from your TV, tablet, laptop or phone, or through any web browser. Visit thegreatcoursesplus.com/historymarsh to check out their great offer of a free trial, which gives access to all of their lectures, or click on the link in the video description below. We would like to thank all of our patrons for supporting the channel. Your generous donations truly help make these videos possible. Thank you. We would also like to thank the authors of Corpus Draculanium, Professor Thomas M. Bohn, Dr. Adrian Gjorke, Dr. Christoph Paulus, and Albert Weber, for providing us with a wealth of information that was used in our Battle of Targoviste two-part miniseries. Their multi-volume work contains contemporary letters, documents, chronicles, and historical accounts, making Corpus Draculanium one of the best works of research that we've ever come across. We highly recommend it. Finally, we would like to thank Kalin Kretsu for providing us with correct Romanian pronunciations in this two-part series. Thank you for watching. All sources and links are in the description. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. And we'll see you on the battlefield in the next one.